What's happening, guys? I'm coming through another video, and I seen a video today on YouTube in the sidebar, and it made me think to do a video related to this topic. And I'm not sure how many of you guys know who Xxxtentacion is, but he's a woke rapper. He got shot and killed on June 18th, 2018, like a little over 2 years ago. It'd be like 2.5 years ago. And this is a definition of a guy that had an extremely hard past. For those of you guys that know who he is. For those of you that don't know who Xxxtentacion is, I suggest go and look him up and look into his background, because it's actually very fascinating stuff. It keeps you focused 24/7 on the topics that talk about this guy and his past and things that has happened in his life. But this guy had an extremely hard past. Like there's people that might have had like a past that where it was like parts of it might have been hard, but some people have horrendous pasts. This is a guy that had a horrendous past, and he did some bad things in his earlier years when he was a kid and a teenager. And I would almost bet 100%, there's not a doubt about it, that this guy was a narcissist, at least at one point. But this guy is proof that you can overcome anything, because after all this dude has been through in his life, he actually started to become woke, and he actually started to become a spiritual being. And he was leaving his past behind him. Whenever he started to get better and he started to improve, that's whenever he got killed. He got shot by gang members. Like 3 dudes, I'm pretty sure, that jumped out of a vehicle and shot him while he was in his car driving. So like I said, this guy, he did some very bad things in his past. Like, he had assault charges, he hit women, he was in jail or prison, I forget which one it was, but he was in there for a while. But he had a plan to leave his past behind him, and he overcame a lot of hurdles and became a very respectable person. And of course, there are still some people that never ever forgave this guy and always seen him as a toxic person. But in actuality, I'm a very honest person, and I'd be very honest about this situation. I actually seen massive improvements in this guy, and he actually started to become woke. And narcissists do not become woke. They don't. But if you can kick the narcissism, if you can get on the other side of narcissism and see the light and start living how you should be, this guy is proof that you can overcome anything, because there are people that had like 1/10 of a difference of a hard past from this guy. And what I mean by this is, this guy had it like 10 times harder than a lot of people who cannot kick narcissism. So it just goes to show there's no excuse for these poor ass people and their decisions that keep them like this. They're just that weak that they can't overcome it. Because this guy had the hardest of the hardest of the hardest past, and he overcame it, and he was on his way to becoming spiritually woke. In fact, he was spiritually woke. He was on his way to like leaving his past completely behind and all the trauma. And he was there. He was like at that point. He was associating with a lot of fans. He was doing a lot of good things for people. and it wasn't fake. You could tell it was genuine. And when this guy got on a roll, like people do the craziest things whenever they get jealous, which they killed this guy. And they mugged him, and I'm pretty sure they took stuff out of his vehicle. They like robbed the guy, they killed him and took some of his stuff, and then pieced. And they did get caught. I suggest for you guys that don't know who he is or never seen the stories behind this, go and check that out, because it is very, very fascinating and even entertaining to watch. I don't mean entertaining in a bad way, like it's entertaining all the tragic things that happened. It's just like a fascinating story to follow, to see this guy's life story and to see where he ended up right when he died. But I truly believe this dude, and even seeing how he grew up, like he did not get a lot of attention from parents. Like his mother could like never be around, and this guy, like, he was like a baby and like a kid that needed attention. He would like cry if he didn't have it, and he just, things like that, you know. And when he was like 6 years old or something like this, his uncle hung himself in the living room, and he witnessed that, and he was the first one that seen it and had to go through that traumatizing stuff. And there's other things that happened as well that was just traumatizing for the guy, but it just goes to show that you can go through anything and overcome it. You really can. It's all about a choice. This guy made a choice, because this guy had a heart of gold at heart. Some people have a hard past, but they still have a good heart. These individuals are responsible to make the right decisions so they can be the person they're supposed to be. This guy did it. This guy went through a lot, and he still overcame all these hurdles, where some people go through 1/10 of the stuff that this guy went through and can't even do it, and yet make all these excuses and tear other people down their entire lives and can't overcome anything. It's a choice. And this guy had a very powerful mind, a very powerful soul. And he did a lot of bad things in his life, but he did a lot of good things too. He inspired millions and millions and millions of people and helped millions of people in a positive way and gave a lot of people hope. Made people feel good with his music, with his messages. So it just goes to show once again that you can overcome anything. And this guy was a narcissist, clear as day. He definitely was. You could see it on him. You could see the way that he was as a human being. Like, he had every narc trait you could ever think of. He was abusive. He looked abusive. He was toxic. He did a lot of bad things. Even whenever he was in jail or prison or wherever he was, I'm pretty sure he was hitting people in there, and he might have even tried to kill a guy or something like this, but he got to a point where he really turned things around and he became woke. He wasn't woke all the time. There's something that happened to this dude that made him go on this spiritual journey. And everything he was talking about, it's how a woke person talks. So if you guys want to see something fascinating, I suggest go and follow this guy's story. Just go on YouTube right here and type in the guy's name, which I have in the title, story. Xxxtentacion's story. And watch videos, because you guys are going to be fascinated. But anyways, I just wanted to get this message across. The point of this message is you can overcome anything, and this guy did. And like I said, people go through like 1/10 of the stuff that this guy did and can't overcome it, because they made a choice not to. They made a choice to be weak and to not be the person they should be. And you can be the person you should be, and you don't have to make a mess of things. You don't have to make a mess of your own life. You don't have to make a mess of other people's lives. You can be you. Who cares what your parents did? Who cares how your parents behaved when you were young? I don't see an effect that any of this shit had on me in any way, shape, or form. And I didn't have much trouble with that. But it's like there's still things that weren't perfect. And I just don't understand how people... I could have been abused by parents and it wouldn't have affected me. I know that for a fact. I know that for a fact. I never seen how it causes me trauma from how other people behave. Oh, poor me, my parents didn't treat me good. How is, like, I don't understand. This has nothing to do with me. It's like I'm naturally that smart to know that if these people do these things to me, like, you have your own life. I think it's more traumatizing if you have your own partner that you really loved and then something happens. That's just my opinion. And then again, like, let's say if everything was good with your parents and they loved you and all of a sudden they're abusing you, that could be bad, but it's not usually like that. Like, if you didn't have a strong love bond with your parents in the very beginning, it shouldn't affect you that much. You should just grow up to know that, okay, this is how it is. You grow up around yourself with other people. You get love from other people. It doesn't really matter if your parents are giving you love or not, because you're getting it from other people around you as well, and yourself. But it's like when you really love somebody else and you don't want to lose them, and then they abuse you, that can be traumatizing. This is just how I see it. So, agree to disagree, but I just think that's how it is. Like, I went through some abusive times with parents as well, and that's why I think this way, is because, like, I never even came close to being physically abused. The closest I ever came to being physically abused would be playing rough sports and, like, wrestling and shit, like hard wrestling with, like, older cousins and stuff like that. But that's normal guy stuff, you know? But with parents, like, I probably got, like, verbally abused with words and stuff like that, but it's like, you just literally have no effect over me. Like, the only thing you're doing is pissing me off. It's not, like, traumatizing me. Not even close. Like, I don't understand why people can't build a separate life away from parents. Now, if you're stuck with them, that's a different story. It's up to you to get away from them so you can build a life outside of them. Your parents are you. You are your parents. Your parents were you 2 seconds ago. You are an adult now. It's the exact same thing. Your parents were your age that you're at right now, like 2 seconds ago. And when I say 2 seconds, I mean that because that's how fast time flies. And a lot of parents like to have these big egos and, like, always want to have one up on you, but it's your job to see the truth of that, and they ain't shit. Your parents ain't shit. I just don't understand how you get all these females complaining about such a hard past they had with their parents, when it's like, can you not look past that? Like, I'm not talking girls that are young little fucking girls. I'm talking about 20, 21, 22, 23, 24-year-old girls that are still just caught up in the past from things that happened with parents. Like, my God, they have trust issues with every single guy and hate men because her father wasn't perfect. Build your own life. Who cares what your father did? He has his own life to live too, to be honest. That's life. That's how it goes. I just don't understand. But anyways, guys, I'm going to cut this video short. There are no excuses. You can overcome anything. We have to be a little bit stronger here. In all honesty, we got to be a little bit stronger. We got to do better. So, I'm going to get on with the next video. I will be back.